You're watching Mets Daily. I'm your host, Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Radio on all social media, at Mets Daily Show on Twitter. Make sure you smash that thumbs up right now in this video and comment below your thoughts on your New York Mets, who are now 1.5 games out in the National League East. Can you believe it? The Mets went from first and coasting to a 1.5 behind the Phillies, but they look to avoid a sweep in Boston tonight. Memberships for Mets Daily, which will feature exclusive content, are coming very soon, as in this week. So buckle up, join us tomorrow, and we'll have more information on that. We appreciate your support thus far of the channel. As we launched in January, it is now May. We're around 1,500 subscribers. We're right on the edge of 1,500. So hit that subscribe button, share the channel, get us to 1,500, and then the next step is 2,000. Mets last night, almost not even worth discussing. Walker Buehler tossed in the third inning for arguing, what looked like a strike. I thought the catcher did a terrible job framing it. I know people were tweeting me that was definitely a strike. He should be mad about it. I thought it was framed awfully, and I can understand why the umpire called that a ball. Either way, the Mets could not hit the bullpen. Lindor was thrown out a second. He saved the first time, thrown out the second time, stealing second base, although it was bang play. Mets didn't challenge it. Of course, Soto singles after that, and it doesn't mean anything. They get shut out. So a lifeless effort. So we'll see what happens. They need to avoid a sweep, and you start to wonder, is it time for reinforcements? It's a lineup the last week has not hitting homers, that's not hitting, period. Ronnie Mauricio doesn't have a ton of at-bats in rehab in the minor leagues this season as he works his way back from that ACL and then the fallback, the rehab. He's struggling. He only has 43 at-bats, but this guy now 7 for his last 11 in AAA the last couple of days with 2 home runs. In my opinion, why not? I don't think it's rushing him. He's been in the big leagues. He'd probably be a DH. He's not going to play much infield. I think we're getting close to a point where you have to consider reinforcements. And if you don't think Drew Gilbert's ready, call up a guy who's been here before, and that's Ronnie Mauricio. So I know David Stern says it's not going to be any time that soon, but man, I know it's only 11 at-bats, but we know what Ronnie Mauricio can do. This isn't a surprise that he's 7 for his last 11. His feet are under him now. He's ready to roll, and it's not like he wasn't rehabbing all spring and he wasn't playing at all. Like, the guy's been on a field. He just hasn't had a ton of game action. So I'd like to see Ronnie Mauricio at some point. I think we're going to see him in June. This week might be too soon, but let us know in the comments. Do you want to see Ronnie back in Queens for the Mets? Another guy who could be back in Queens for the Mets who rehabbed today as well in Syracuse is Paul Blackburn. We talk about Frankie Montas. We talk about Sean Manaea. The forgotten one that's been hurt this whole season is Paul Blackburn. And the Mets needed to see something from him in rehab. So far, he has struggled with command. He has not been great. Today, 7 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 hit. A one-hitter over 7 scoreless for Paul Blackburn, which means Tyler McGill tonight, who's on the mound, you're on watch. Tyler McGill, it is showtime for Tyler McGill. I think McGill is one bad outing from being out of this rotation. And if Manaea and Montas not ready yet, I think the Mets have their guy for the short term, and that's Paul Blackburn. I think that's a no-brainer, to be honest. Like, the leash has got to be short here on McGill. We know what he is, and the inconsistencies are present with McGill. And, if he goes out there against the Red Sox, has another outing, gives up 4 or 5 runs, I think that's got to be it. I think he sit him next time in the rotation. Blackburn's had enough outings now, and he finally had a good one where he deserves a spot start at the very least until you get Manaea and Montas back. And, hey, if he's good, you get a couple starts at him, you get Manaea and Montas back, maybe Blackburn then goes to the bullpen. You have options here, but the leash has got to be shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter on Tyler McGill, and I think Blackburn could be that guy. Mets, Red Sox at Fenway. Got to get this win going to the off day because then the Dodgers come to Citi Field, and that is not going to be easy. We think about and you talk about experimenting with new lineups, experimenting with players coming out. Well, the Mets are going to shake things up here. Remember, they're facing a dominant lefty in Garrett Crochet tonight. So tonight, they're debuting Juan Soto in the 3-hole. Look at the lineup tonight here. You see it on the screen. Lindor leadoff, Starling Marte second, and playing left field. Now, we saw Winker's first time in left field. It ended up with him on the IL. You hope that doesn't happen to Marte, but again, Marte's leash is, we want to talk about guys on a short leash. Starling Marte's leash is getting shorter and shorter. I mean, how much longer are we going to see Starling Marte here hit around 200 and be really just a singles hitter with not a lot of pop? So Marte's playing in left. Then you see in right, Soto is batting third. So again, I assume this is mostly because you're going up against a dominant lefty. So they get the righty, Lindor, switch hitter up top. Righty, Marte second. Soto third. Alonso now in the cleanup spot today. Vientos DHing and hitting fifth. Torrens not day game after night game, but Torrens is in there hitting sixth. Taylor is up to seventh. Acuna in there at second, hitting eighth. Again, Acuna's got to be playing more. And it's interesting. Beatty, I don't know why I put third base, but double third base. Maybe that means Beatty's going to have a triple tonight. Brett Beatty playing against the elite lefty tonight. How about that? Carlos Mendoza, a little faith in Brett Beatty hitting ninth and at third base today. So Beatty's played lights out defense. You know, the highlight of last night's game might have been his barehanded play along with Walker Buehler getting tossed. And, you know, I saw some clown tweet they should throw it at the back of Lindor for, you know, waving at Buehler, barking at him. That goes back to, you know, I think Buehler called Lindor a pussy or something. He struck him out a couple of years ago and yelled at him. So I think that goes back to that. I think Lindor remembers that. So he barked back when he had his chance last night. And I don't think you should throw at Lindor. I mean, Alex Cora just said he had breakfast with Francisco Lindor. So what does that tell you? Francisco Lindor is beloved. He's a great guy. Everybody loves him. So to make a fake war out of this and say to throw at Lindor's back, it was some guy on Twitter who has a following. I don't know who he is, but that's not happening. It's not going to happen. So that's like when the Pistons fans made Jalen Brunson a villain. Jalen Brunson's not a villain. In fact, Jalen Brunson is going to lead the Knicks to the NBA Finals. Game 1 tonight, baby. Let's go, Knicks. Knicks in 7. Orange and blue skies, Mets. You know what? I say they salvage the series. They get a win. They go into the off day feeling good about themselves with the Dodgers coming to town this weekend. Can't wait. I will likely be there at Citi Field this weekend. Mets, Dodgers, going to be great. But tonight, got to get the win. Crochet won't be easy. But, you know, would love a big day from Soto. He has been the headline with the fake story about the private jet and the stories about him missing the Yankees and his family wanting the Mets. A lot of stuff is out there. Think about the guy behind. You know, Pedro Martinez said it best. Think about what's in between the ears and going on right here. Now, I know he's the highest paid player ever, but everyone has emotions. You know, they're trying to paint Juan Soto into a villain. I just want to see him hustle. I think the numbers are going to come. Like I said, he's going to start hitting. I mean, he better start hitting. But, you know, just hustle, man. Run out of the box. That's all you ask for. Like I said, New Yorkers, we like hustle. We like grit. That's why we love these Knicks. That's why we love these Mets. Make sure you subscribe to Mets Daily. Share the channel. Smash that thumbs up right now. It helps us very much. Comment below. There's a thumbs up emoji. We love seeing that. Comment right now. What do you think? Ronnie Mauricio to Queens? Should Paul Blackburn replace Tyler McGill? What do you guys think? Again, memberships are coming in the coming days. Stay tuned for that. Exclusive content, watch parties, one-on-one, your comments. Lots of good stuff are coming with Mets Daily memberships. Thank you so much for supporting the channel thus far. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the day off. We don't take off weekdays. The Mets might take off. We don't. So we'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily. Jake Brown at Jake Brown Radio signing out. Let's go Mets.